So we're recording. So good evening, everyone. And thank you for the last 2 calls tomorrow. You were absolutely amazing. You really were. My hat off to you. So great to see quite a few of you on this call tonight. It's actually a very simple training, but it's profound. And I would encourage every single one of you to actually go back and listen to the recording afterwards. There is a document that I've prepared, which Eric did. It's actually this one here. It's very simple. I'll tell you about it in a minute. But this is actually Eric Worry's GoPro skill number 6, duplication. And some of you know that when we went over to the Gold Coast for this, seriously, you can imagine how many events, conferences, regionals, international conferences and things that Tamara Bron and quite a few of us have been to. But I actually made the statement in my 20 years, it was the best training I'd ever been to. And it wasn't just telling you what to do, it was actually telling you how to do it. So what I hope to bring to you tonight is how to duplicate. And for me, it was actually a really good look in the mirror. And it actually made me, I actually prepped this about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And when I was just reading through it again today, I thought, oh my God, this is something, it's just a reminder. There's nothing different. So Eric makes a profound statement at first. He says 70% of people we sign up as distributors or franchisees don't ever recruit anyone. So does that shock anyone? It's true. It's a stat. And now many of us know these stats, but we can't accept it as it is. But Eric really went on to say there is a lot we can do to actually improve those stats. So tonight we're going to learn, make that franchisee in our case stay. And in the 2 columns, which is here, I'll just try and put it close so you can see.
Do you want me to screen share it?
If you can, just very quickly, because it will help you. Did anyone download it and print it? Because that should really help you. Okay, so up the top, it's what can we do to make it easier to stay? And basically it's saying, what do we have to make happen to make it easier to stay? We're talking about a brand new franchisee. So thanks, Tamara. That's pretty much, most of your note-taking will be in the right-hand column. So just know that on the first side, you've got things that happen to make it easy to quit for that new person, and then lots of things that we can make happen to have them stay and build and grow. So yeah, thanks for that. So what he actually said, oh, and incidentally, Naomi on, I think it was only last week on a call, she was saying that at the 90-day game plan, which I'm halfway through watching, Fraser Brooks actually said, people quit at 6 weeks, yet people also succeed at 8 weeks. So by golly, when I finish this training, and I'm going to be talking to you about some 7-day lots, you guys, like me, it was quite a few months ago, and the penny still didn't drop for me till I actually had to prepare this training. So when you think you go to trainings, listen to them over and over, because eventually the penny will drop. So, what actually happens to a brand? Who's had a brand new person and you think they're going to conquer the world and be your big star, and they do absolutely nothing? Okay, I think we all have, and that's okay, because there's no must-dos in this business. So, you know, one of the easiest things that happen to make them quit, they're not actually using the product. So, and if they are using it, they're using it sporadically. So what happens with that? That not using the product or using it only every now and then, it equates to limited belief or no belief at all. Basically, you have to have the integrity of using a product to be able to be passionate and go about talking about it and sharing your story. So that's the number one thing that makes it easy to quit. So later on in the training, when I talk about the DMO of how we're going to make these people stay with us, it will really make sense to you. So just go over to the other column, because this is the really important column. Things we need to have happen to make them stay. So First of all, we need to have them on the product pretty religiously and to have a good product result, maybe even to feel some benefits. Okay, you also want them to be telling the world. Another thing, you want them to be making new friends, new colleagues, really feeling part of our community. And we all know that there's a lot of things you can do to make them feel part of the community. And honestly, I know a lot of you saying that, you know, I do everything, but sometimes it's the person who doesn't, you know, they just fade. And that's exactly what Eric's saying. 70% do not recruit anyone else because they really don't necessarily stay. So a very other thing that has to happen is that they need to feel a sense of belonging. Interestingly, 20 years ago, I didn't even really know it until I'd actually joined. One of the things that I had many, many friends and a good family, but the sense of belonging was really huge to me. The next thing is, and this is absolutely huge, we need to make sure that they're getting customers at least. They may not get teams straight away, but at least be getting some customers. And if they get some customers and if they're lucky enough to get some team as well, that equates to a nice little paycheck, some commission, some earnings. So the next thing he says, we really need to get them into the habit of attending events, even with your new person, if it's feasible, even if you pick them up and take them. And there's many things you can do with that. Now, don't forget, I'm just telling you at the moment what you need to do. We will be going into how to do it. So they also need to be starting to gain a belief in the company. Now, Tamara was just going through all the beliefs, but particularly to make them stay, they need to believe in us, to believe in the company. Okay, another thing, Eric says this can actually give you a whole year of someone either staying or going. They need to achieve at least one promotion up one level. So even if it's just DBF, it's huge. It can honestly make them stay around for maybe a year. Okay, now that big column, you'll probably run out of room because it keeps going. We've also got to make sure some personal growth happens. We've got to try and make sure that they're sharing their vision. So we need to seek them out, and it's not all about us. We need to know what their vision is and even try and help them explain that so that when they're out telling their story, they can share their vision with people, particularly for the business. They must feel recognised and appreciated. They absolutely must feel recognised and appreciated. And they've got to be feeling, even if they're not aware of it, they've got to be developing some skills, even if it's only a few little ones. And another huge thing, and they probably won't even realise they're doing this, but they're actually starting to take responsibility for their new team members. Don't forget, usually they're a new team member themselves, but it's really great to see when you coached them and supported them and they're starting to do little things that you would normally do. Because don't forget, you don't want to be the leader at the top who does everything. Been there, done that, doesn't work. You want to duplicate your efforts. So it's really great when you see them starting to take responsibility. And you want them to really be even acknowledging that they're loving the positive environment, the community they're in. So then he says the biggest thing, if they're not getting customers or team, it actually goes to the opposite column. And this is where it's quitting. They haven't really made any friends. They haven't made any earnings. They've got a product oversupply because they weren't even taking their product themselves. Does this sound familiar? We've all had new team members like this, and it's very sad. Sometimes you can resurrect them and come back. Sometimes they come back years later for a second try. So all of us, whether we've been in this business for 20 years or 2 weeks, when I finish tonight, I think you'll all agree that the simple DMO that Eric talks about, it really is, if we follow it and if we're diligent, it really does work. So our job is to push people gently and kindly over that line to make it easier to stay points. So all those things that I talked about, we've got to try and make sure that happens because that's what pushes them over to the great column, the good column. Okay, so Eric suggests with the new teaming, Once they're on their product, you actually have to ask them their results. Have you felt any benefits? What's your results? How are you feeling? I really want to hear your story. And when it's a good result, he suggests that we as the leader or the sponsor, we actually, this is really quite reverse psychology, I love this. We do a Facebook post, a selfie with the new team member, and doing a welcome, which most of us do anyway, but rave on, particularly if that person said they really want this, they're going all the way. So actually they're feeling a bit of an obligation. They're a bit embarrassed if they don't at least put some effort into it. And, you know, whether you've had a good start in this business or a bad, sometimes it's a good thing if someone puts you under a little bit of pressure with still being kind and gentle, of course. Eric also suggests to get them to do a post personally, saying how excited they are and that they, you know, their vision and they're going all the way and they're really going to change their life, etc. So then, I love this next bit that Eric shared. And I still say it, and I think a few of the old ones who've been in the business a long time will still say it. We used to say you don't have a customer till they've accepted the second box. And I still believe that. And Eric says they are still a prospect. So it's a little bit like a team member. Until they've got their second box and they've diligently been using it and doing a few of those things on the good side, the easy to stay side, they're still a prospect. He also says, get them, the biggest game changer is to get them to a big company event. So it's now November. The very best thing we can all do at the moment is to make sure ourselves and all our team, whether they're older ones or new ones, are at that regional on the 16th of February and really trying hard to be on the cruise boat. Be awesome. Okay, where am I up to? Okay. He also says, when you get them over the line, keep them over the line. And he suggests always the little recognition and little rewards, incentives. They go a long way. Even if it's little trophies and little gifts, just gesture gifts. It doesn't have to be big, expensive things. He says, it sounds easy, but there's always pressure. It's not always handy. Let's face it, what we've talked about is an ideal brand new person in your team, but it does happen and it can happen if we do the following. So he says the more effort we put into getting them over the line to the easy to stay column, the more chance we have for the penny to drop and have them on their way. Once that penny drops, there's no holding them back. So he also suggests, and this was the best part of this talk to me, he suggests that all of us, we actually do the exercise and see if we're actually over the line ourselves. So I would suggest in the next 24 hours for all of you, if you've managed to take notes or listen to the recording, have a look and ask you all the questions. Are you on the product? Are you going to events? All those things, and there's numerous things. And that will increase our chances. If we're doing all of it, we're setting the good example, because it's called duplication. If we're what we call a, not as diligent a franchisee, we're going to duplicate not such a diligent franchisee. So we do need to look in the mirror. Okay, so hopefully the staying column is winning. So let's move into the duplication of these stayers. Eric says for duplication, this is classic, and this is really, for me, it's real recognition and hats off to Tamara. Eric says for duplication to work, they must feel, oh, this looks simple. I think it will work. I think I could do it. And if what we start them with doesn't make them think that they're panicked and they say, this doesn't look simple, I'm not sure this will work, or I don't think I can do it. So we must keep it simple. So he talks about the core position and obviously there are a lot of network marketing companies there. Our core position, our core level that he talks about is senior direct franchisee. So this is all we need to be talking about to our new people. I cannot tell you, I put my hands up as a culprit. I've tried to teach some people the whole business in 3 hours. unbelievable. I think I've done that for many years. It's not the way to do it. So we're just trying to get them to senior direct. Okay. Eric shares this very simple but profound DMO. He talks about encouraging the new team member in 7-day blocks. So I want you to think what we said before. It's 8 weeks to success, 6 weeks to quitting. Okay, so for 8 weeks, we've got 8 7-day blocks. So he suggests the 4 steps in the DMO, and this is really important, is use, share. The next one is grow and attend and build for events. So we'll be going into those. So before I enlarge, he suggests you get the team member to do these for the first 7 days, and then you ask them to report back to us. Personally, when I really listen to his recording and reflecting on the training, we'd be really silly not to ring and really and build that relationship, not to ring them, literally. Good old-fashioned telephoning every single day for that first 7 days. So he wants them to report back to us with the statement, I want to hear your story, because we all are about stories. So, it might be, oh, well, this happened or that happened, or it might be really great, but we can nip the problems right in the bud there, rather than let it go and 2 weeks later, they still haven't got their second customer or whatever. So then he suggests, once they've reported back and told you their story, say to them, now let's do another 7-day block. Let's do the DMO, those 4 things. Let's do it for another 7 days and see where we get to. So how do you do your DMO? So I know for my 20 years, and I think I said this before, there's no use, or there is use. It's very, very useful to be told what you need to do in this business, but it's also equally important, if not more, to be told and shown how to do it. He's a real stickler for this. So he calls the DMO the basic framework that new team members need to do. So the first one is use. That's use the product daily. How do you get them to do this? Well, first of all, make sure they've got an order. Make sure they know how to take it. And then he says also, as part of that number 1, use the product, use it publicly. How do you do that? Well, you don't ever go to a coffee meeting without a box of capsules or something sitting on the table. Sometimes the waitress might even comment, and you've got your story ready, babies. It's a great one. Also, you mummies at school, have your smoothie ready? Oh, that looks yummy. What's that? And I'm sure a lot of you do this, but it's marketing. You need to do this. So use it publicly, and also, of course, social media. How can we forget that? Posts and photos. So then he says the second one is share. So we've got use, then we've got share the product daily. How do you share it? Well, you have to show them how to share it. So it's no use saying, oh, you just send them links. What you do, most of us on the call have probably got the links in our notes. You share them with that new person. So you're not just saying, oh, you share links. Send them the links that you use, the ones that you find are good. Let them choose themselves. So it's not what to do, it's how to do it. But there's a lot more than that. You can send them video links. You can make sure they know to use the website. You can give them half a dozen brochures if they're a little bit old school and would like some brochures. You must introduce them to our fabulous Transformation Hub, our product Facebook group. It's just brilliant. You need to get them to events. That's how they'll be able to share and get them to invite people to the events. Offer them a launch or 2. Launches for a new business, a new team member are almost absolutely, they're vital. And what I have found, sometimes people are a little bit embarrassed. They're not quite happy to do it in their own home. I offer them to do it in my home or at a park, wherever they want to. And the last one is also, you can give people a sample to share your product. So number 3, we've had use the product and use it publicly. We've had share the product. Third one is share the business daily. So how do we do that? Well, we talk. We really hone our story. And I love the new plot that Tamara talked about the other day in her live, and we've also, if you've listened to the 90-day game plan, it's really beautifully explained. So they've really got to hone their story and have that well so they can share the business. We heard fabulous ones earlier. Send business links to them. There might be a document you want to send. Do a good old-fashioned three-way. And if you don't know what a three-way is, ask your sponsor or your upline or a leader in the team. Invite them to an event, a business event, and they're live and online. We have the ones at the Glass House. Some of you have got other things you go to, and we've always got plenty of things online. And again, fabulous Facebook What If group. And if anyone does not know what either of those groups are, Transformation Hub or What If, really make an effort to find out. Okay, so the fourth one is grow and to build for events and attend events yourself. So, you know, it's no good to say to them, you've got to grow personally. Tamara was just explaining how we grow personally. But also you can recommend books, you can recommend courses, you can supply links, you can get them to attend events, you can set the example, all sorts of things. You can discuss their beliefs with them. And, you know, there's that really good thing of deciding, you know, your beliefs, say, in the industry, between 0 and 10, what would it be? If it's under 7, we really need to help them with it. Okay, so that was the use, share the product, share the business, and grow and attend events and build for events. Plus, as he said, reporting back daily for that week or so, then every 7 days. Now, I'm an old school diary person, so regardless how you do your, you actually need to, even if the person seems to be lagging off, you need to diarise those 7-day blocks, and even that for that first 7 days, ringing them. I intend to totally restart my business and building new team, doing it totally different. And that's a big statement after 20 years. So he goes on to say, yeah, this is huge. And I think a lot of us who've been around for a long time will agree with this. A big mistake that I made. We are excited and we can think we're busy, but half the time we're just doing life when we talk about Juice Plus. An excited teammate may feel it's really wrong to contact us a lot. Like, I love it when a new team member contacts me 6 times a day. You know what that tells a leader or a sponsor? That says he or she, is excited, passionate, and they're teachable. They want to learn. So you must let them know, I'm never too busy to talk to you. And if it goes to message bank, I'll always ring you back. So you've got to encourage them to, you know, be your buddy. Eric says, I love this part. Eric says, a leader makes this DMO and the reporting back part of the culture. It's your team culture. And imagine if we all duplicated and did that. There's a little bit more about that. He often talks about amateurs and posers, and those of you who've even read his book or listened to the audio, you know he talks about amateurs and posers. So with a new person, an amateur or a poser will just say, just go and do your best. You know, no pressure, doing your best. Professionals will show them exactly and specifically, including verbiage, what to do. It is in your interest to do that. Let everything else go. Don't worry about the rest of the team. Just do what you need to do, the right thing by that new person. The more specific the instruction, the more success and duplication. We all need to simplify and be doing the same. And there's so many of us in this big team that we're in. That's something I feel strongly about. We need to simplify, and I think we're doing that, but we need to be doing the same to duplicate. So from my point of view, what's working for us? Well, my team, Angels, is under the Hunters and Gatherers umbrella. We've got the Transformation Hub, we've got What If, we've got events, live and online, we've got regional and national events, and so much more. So Eric also suggests FOMO, fear of missing out. So when you've got an event, the person who brings the most guests who turn up, give them a little prize. Make a big deal of it. Another example, like if we've got a big, like the regional thing or the conference, the first to register for conference gets a prize, just little things like that. So, you know, you're making a big thing about the event, not just doing the flyer and saying it's coming up. you're actually making a big thing and it's exciting and there's prizes. So he stressed, it must be simple or people will not finish the race. So anything further that they need to know in the longer term has to wait until they are on that side of the staying, they're not quitting, and they're staying of their own accord, the pennies dropped, and they're on their way. So he finished the segment calling it the team concept for duplication. So summarising, tell the new team person about your team's DMO, those 4 things. Explain it's what we all do every day. It's our culture. We then show them how we share the product and business. We then need to try it together. So it's a little bit the tell, show, try, do. So when they eventually are going to try it themselves, you're not actually going to do it for them, but you're going to be there if they do fall. And you have to reassure them that I will be here, but you're going to do it. If you fall, I'll just very subtly come in and do it with you until you feel comfortable. What else does he say? He says, and he talks about ego. And I know personally I've been guilty of ego and being the front person and not giving them the opportunity to grow. It's a little bit like in nursing, my career. If you want to be that loving, fabulous nurse and do everything for the person, and then say it's an old person, they go back to the nursing home, they're so used to being dependent on you that they've lost their independence. And this is what we want. You can't be the ego, like I have made the mistake before. Look, I've been in this for years, I know lots, and I can do this, and let me do this. Right from the beginning, they've got to get their confidence up. So he says, our goal is to create independence, which in turn feeds and creates a future. He says, alternatively, dependence, like dependence on us, feeds our ego. For duplication, teach that person to teach and keep moving. Tell, show, try, do. Nearly finished. You might be thinking a lot of this isn't new, but it works. Why do we always try and reinvent the wheel? Which I know I've often tried to do that. Eric says ego leads to dysfunction and complicating the system. He says deal with the baby, that's our ego, if we feel as though we want to baby someone and just do it all for them, before it becomes the monster and crushes the team. There's subtle and kind ways to do that. Something that he suggested really has made a lot of us leaders feel comfortable. He suggests that we go into our team and see where duplication has stalled. And this is an exercise, whether you've got a little team or a big team, go and see where duplication has stalled. It's a bit of an eye-opener. Coach the person that's stalled on the DMO that Eric has taught us all so they duplicate. If they get upset at your supposed interference, explain what you are doing, remind everyone of the simple activities so they duplicate. So it's in their interest, and would they like some coaching on it so they can get on with it as well. But sometimes some people won't be open to that training. You have every right to go in there. So simply get into the trenches, he says, and do it ourselves. My last words from Eric right at the end of that section was keep it simple. Most people won't start a race if they think they can't finish. So let's all get on and duplicate. That's it from me.
Beautiful job, Hilary. Thank you so much for sharing. And, you make a really important point there that, a lot of this is not stuff that we haven't heard before, but the reality is it's just getting back to the basics. And we all know that you can build a retail business by having lots of customers. But if you actually want a business that is going to compound and help you leverage your time, then the only way to do that is by duplication. It's the only way to build an organization where you're going to tap into that true residual income. So guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been a marathon, but I'm hoping you've got something out of all of our calls tonight. This call